Come on.
Backstage antics with the Tourmaliners.
Don't screw up. Nice. A little better.
That was better.
Cut.
Well, hey everybody, my name is Deven Berryhill, and I'm here with Ryan Haggerty. Asked me to do a little rig rundown for his Pi Records podcast. You may have watched the podcast where Ryan and I talked about my bands, the Tourmaliners, and then playing with my pops band, the Surfaris, for the last 20 years. And the pleasure of being able to play with a legend like my dad, Bob Berryhill, and play songs like Wipeout to thousands of people around the world has been a privilege. But we're going to talk about a little bit about the gear right now. And so we're going to do a rig rundown. I'm going to start with my guitars, my main axes that I use when I play live now, and then my pedalboard, and then we'll go over to a couple of my amps that I use depending on what kind of setting we're in. Okay, so these are my three main axes that I use. Now, when I first started playing as a kid, I used a Fender Mustang, and if you go on my Instagram at Deven Berryhill, you'll see I recently obtained that guitar back. I first bought it in like 1981 or 2 when I was in like 7th grade. And then recently, about a year ago, my friend who I sold it to actually gave it back to me, and I refinished it and brought it back to spec. It's a 64 Mustang, Fender Mustang, the white one with the tortoiseshell pickguard. You might hear my cat whining there in the background, but here I am. I'm in my spare bedroom here in San Diego, California. So here's what the guitars. I'll start with my main axe that I started with probably in about 2015, 16. I had a custom shop Strat before this that was like a Jimi Hendrix model with the reverse headstock, but it got stolen out of my car. But I'll tell you, I had the string length of Dick Dale's. It did Dick Dale perfect. But I did get this guitar, and this was originally made for Chicago Music Exchange. I got it off eBay, and it's basically what's called a closet classic. Now if you take a look at it. Now it's got about 10 years, maybe a little more of wear on there. But I put on the checking, but you can see the body, it's kind of got that cracked paint and all that. And of course the bridge here, sorry about the lighting, I'll go to the side here. The pickups are pretty cool. Actually, this pickup here and this front pickup were on my original Strat that I was telling my custom shop. It's like a 69 kind of Jimi Hendrix model. And this pickup was with the guitar. Now this middle pickup's pretty special. It sounds almost kind of like a Gretsch a little bit. It's a little more hollowy sound. Where this one is just pure meat, Dick Dale, perfect. And then the front one, they're the raised poles you can kind of see. They're more your classic early 60s, 61, 62 kind of pickup, but they're wound extra hot by that lady at Fender who wound pickups, Isabel or something like that. But anyway, you can see kind of the neck here. Real solid neck. It's not super wide, but it's nice. It's got all the vintage stuff on it you want. Custom shop, of course. But, you know, again, the cracked paint, the nitrocellulose paint, it came like that when I bought it. So the last 10 years, I put a lot of checking on it. You can maybe see on the neck some of the wear there. But anyway, I might be getting a little too in the weeds here, but I love that guitar. One of the best sounding guitars I've ever heard and played. Plays like a gem. And then, my dad played a jazz master, so I always grew up having those around the house. This one's kind of cool. I bought this one off of Reverb. I needed a guitar. We were gonna go to Italy and play the Surfer Joe Festival, and I wanted a guitar I could take on the plane that I wasn't worried about breaking. And this is what they call a classic player's special. I think it's made in Mexico. Yeah, definitely made in Mexico model. But you know, it's like a $1,200 guitar, probably brand new. It was probably $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. But neck's real wide on it. It's got that kind of gloss coat on the neck. You can see some of the checking and stuff I put on it. I had it specially painted by a guy, Surfaris. We were playing at a car show in Utah, and the guys that do the custom paint painted my dad and I our guitars while we were there. It's kind of cool. I wanted it to look like seaweed, you know, out on the beach. But these pickups, I just put them in. I had the original 65, Fender 65 Jazzmaster. Look at these puppies. These are the new redone TV Jones pickups. I met Tom at the NAMM show a couple years ago, and they reissued their Jazzmaster pickups. They're 63 Jazzmaster, but it's basically the guts of like the Brian Setzer TV Jones pickups put into a Jazzmaster size pickup. And the wounds on this go all the way around the outside of the pickup area. It's not just around the poles. And if you can see, poles are raised a little bit. But I like my action pretty low. So that's my number 2 Jazzmaster. And my latest endeavor, some of you may have seen my building of this guitar. This is my new iconic guitars built right here in San Diego County. A guy named Kevin makes these things. These are awesome. These just got Lawler pickups with all the mastery bridge, everything. Highest precision guitar I've ever touched, honestly. This thing's beautiful. And you can see that paint job. It's pretty rad too. I wanted to reminiscent of my dad's 62 Jazzmaster he played on the Wipeout, on the Surfaris Play album cover. But I wanted to add a little bling to it. But this neck, a little thinner. It's kind of right in between my Jazzmaster and my Strat. Very nice. Everything is just so choice on this guitar. All the woods, hand done. If you can see the fretwork is just, this thing just plays like a gem. So I want to thank my friends Scotty Bland and Roxanne Bland and Kevin Proctor at Iconic Guitars. Check them out, iconicguitars.com. These guys are amazing. They make them right here in the US of A. Actually right here in California, where surf music, the home of surf music. And it's got the 3-position, just the classic Jazzmaster setup like you'd want. So those are my 3 guitars there that I use mostly. I have some others, but you know, they kind of, you can see my closet. CDs, boxes of old CDs and closet crap. And then the PAs to resistance of pedals here. You guys may have seen the guys at Surfing Industries, Bjorn and Lorenzo, came out with the new Surfy Bear. You can already see I got it scuffed up. But it's a spring reverb, 2-channel. You can do a true bypass, then you've got your, like for me, I set it at a drier setting, then a wetter setting. But I usually kind of go with like something like that. Then this has got the tremolo, almost like the old 62 Bandmaster. It reminds me of the 62 Bandmaster tremolo. And you can do some other things. You can do it pre or post. You could do an output to your reverb tank if you want to change between the reverb and here and then go to your tank. But I just use it just like this because it fits in my pedalboard. But that is the secret weapon right now. That thing is beautiful. Pure joy. Thank you, Ted Pilgrim. Appreciate you hooking me up with that. And if you go on their website, surfyindustries.com, on their artist page, you'll see me there representing my whole band, the Tourmaliners. And Joe, my second guitarist for the Tourmaliners, he plays the classic Surfy Bear Mini like I do. I think it's called the Mini. So anyway, my tuner, the classic Boss Tubes. This is the Tube 3 actually. I used to have the Tube 2. I split, so I have 2. I can keep 2 guitars plugged in and just tap between A, B, between the two guitars without having to plug in the same jack. This is the Austin drive. Now, if you notice, mine says fast drive. Yeah, that is, I'm trying to remember everybody's names here, but this, if you go to Austin drives, hook them up. Excellent pedal there. I'll come back to that later. Of course, the old tube screamer. This is just a, 80s reissue there. This guy, instead of the blossom point, I use this kind of like a blossom point thing where it pushes it to the edge. I don't like to use it a lot. Like, I don't put my gains up there because it starts to break up and you lose headroom. Let the amp do a little more of the work, and then I just use this. If I want to go rhythm, I turn it off. If I want to go lead, typically my rhythm setting is the low mix here, and then with this off. And then when I want to go full Dick Dale, click on the mixed, the second channel on this heavy mix, reverb, and then I hit this guy, and man, blossom point with that. And then I used to use the L cap. Some of you may have seen in previous rig. I think I blew it up. I burned it out somewhere. And I was at this guitar store here in San Diego, and they had a bunch of used pedals just sitting. And I found, I used to have the I've had the DD2 delay, Boss DD2, 3, 5 I had it once. And then I had the 6. And then my whole pedal board got ripped off out of my garage, the one I was using about 5 or 6 years ago. And I had to replace it, but I couldn't find this. They don't make this anymore. So I'm at this used guitar store. Man, I love this thing. Usually I like it because it does the tap tempo. You can set it. So if I'm playing, Apache and I want to get that tempo just right, that's the guy. If I do Sleepwalk, some of you guys like our version of that. So that's that. And then this is kind of weird because every great once in a while I have to go direct. No amp, just right into a PA system. And this Strymon Iridium, it does a deluxe reverb, Fender deluxe reverb setting, which is on right now. And you can do 3 different cabinet settings there. Levels are cranked a little bit. So that's my basic pedal board, and I come out, here's my cabling. I usually just come out with 2 of these cables and hook them into usually 2 of the guitars. Probably a Strat and a Jazzmaster. Then over here is the Quilter. Lorenzo first had me play through his. We were playing with Surfer Joe, and he goes, check this guy out. And it's pretty rad. It's got the Tone Block 202, solid state, but it's got the little vintage setting there. And then the way Lorenzo kind of told me, you kind of dime the master volume, then you bring this up. But then I think he said, you might want to, I blew the speaker out. So I was like, how do I do this without blowing the speaker? So he said, well, maybe back that off a little bit there. And the gain, usually depending on if it's outdoor or indoor, a lot of outdoor, I'm about there. And then with the tone, that changes all the time. I like to start flat with the bass, mid, and the treble. And I usually like to bring down the treble a lot because this amp tends to be a little bright. The solid state's still a little more abrasive than the tube amp. And I'll show you my Showman in a sec, but this thing's pretty cool. And I just go straight into the input right from here, right into my input for my pedal board. It's got that special 15, the Eminence EPS 15. It's kind of like the Showman D130, the Fender D130 speaker in there, the cone, but I blew it out already. That's a second speaker. I've only owned the amp about a year and a half, so. Anyway, I think it was because this thing's 200 watts. You go all the way up with this guy and it's like, whoa. So anyway, getting a little in the weeds here. I'm gonna go over here. Oh, Rick Wilkinson, that's what I want to say. Thank you, Rick, for this pedal. Rick gave me this pedal. He gave Joe one too. Joe's is called the Claremont Drive because he actually lives on Claremont Drive. The movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High was written by Cameron Crowe, and he went to Claremont High School, right by where my friend lives. And this whole, I call it the Spicoli pedal because it looks like an old pair of Vans, from back in the early 80s. Anyway, that's that. We're gonna go look at my Showman and my Tank Reverb in the other room. Okay, so we're in my other room here. And here's my dual Showman head right here. This is actually a 65. My friend John Benton, who used to play for the Lively Ones, he played for the Surfaris for a little bit with my dad. He actually customized this. It was a blackface single showman. He turned it into a dual showman, added a second transformer in the back. You can see it's got the bright switch, so it's more like it's actually a 65, but it's been retooled to be more like a 63, 64 transition between Fender and CBS, one Leo Fender. But you can see he grill clothed it, Tolexed it. Of course, I got my own checking. I've owned this since about 2005. But he did, it's interesting, he found someone else had a dual showman plate, had a single showman plate. And someone gave him this from an actual dual showman. They didn't want it anymore, and they didn't know what they had. So he said he put that on there. So that's an original, like 63, 64 dual showman plate there. And then, of course, the old Reverb box here. This is the first year Fender, when they first reissued the Fender Reverb tank in like 91, 2. I got the first year they came out with them again. This thing's really nice. I've had it worked on. Still needs some more work. It's not perfect. I've kicked it so many times playing scatter shield. I busted it. But, oh, there you go. So far as wipe out there. But this is a killer tank here. And that's kind of more my classic setup when I rarely play it anymore because, you know, you roll up to a club anymore and the sound guy looks at you and goes, get out. Can't bring that in here. So anyway, it's got the dual 215s. Can't really see their eminence. They don't have the silver cone. I don't know why. But anyway, so that's my rig. So thanks for watching here. If you have any questions, you want to email me at the Tourmaliners, TheTourmaliners, for any questions about where I got the gear or where you can get gear. I want to thank my sponsors, these iconic guitars, Quilter amps, Surfy Bear reverbs, Austin Drive with Rick Wilkinson, and let's see what else. Oh, straps. These are great straps too. And you gotta check these out. These are really nice. Anyway, we don't have time. But I've got great straps and strings. Oh, someone was asking about my strings. I use 11s flat wounds on my new Iconic, and I use 10s on my other guitar, Dotty XO110s, like a lot of people. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully that was helpful. If you've got a similar rig or some comments, leave those. You can email me, or you can go and leave them here in the comment section on Pi Records. Thank you, Ryan, and you guys all have a good one.